Fantasy Blind Spot, where we shine the light on what you can't see. He's a cornerstone piece. He's a guy you're going to want on your fantasy team.
It's all about them splash plays.
Oh my God, did that just happen? I can't believe he made that catch.
He's got that big playability.
The football gods made this guy to play football.
All right, so he's just an explosive runner. He's one of those guys that when he gets in the open space, he just puts his foot in the ground and he's gone. What's up, what's up? Welcome into Fantasy Blind Spot, where we shine the light on things you can't see. I am the Blind Guy. You can find me on X at @TheBlindGuyFF. With me, as always, is my co-host, the crazy Canadian Sean Thompson. You can find him on X at Maximus8911. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Remember, hit that like, hit that subscribe. How you doing, bud?
Doing all right. How you doing?
Not too bad. It's a Wednesday. Had a little trouble getting up this morning, but we got some nice weather coming, so hopefully some outside time hanging out with the fam. So we're getting there. Summer. Kids are out of school. First episode with the kids at home. We'll see how it goes.
Well, we're finally starting to get some good weather, too. It's been cold all weekend. Well, not super cold, but, chilly for summer weather.
Chilly for June. Yeah.
Yeah,
or exactly. End of May.
Supposed to start getting sunny today, so we'll see. It's already, I don't know, I think it's about 67 right now. Probably get up around 75, 76, which means the summer's starting. It's always good. People are so depressed around here.
Yep. That's how it is around here. Like, by the time you start hitting March, April, everybody is so ready for spring. And then, I don't know about you guys, but we always get like a week where it's 70 or 80 in March, April, and then it goes back to cold and nasty until mid to late May. And like, that's the time when everybody's just like, can we just get some sun? We've had no vitamin D for 6 months. This is bullshit.
Yeah, pretty much the same. But like mid-June, you talk to people, they're like, oh my God, this weather, I'm so depressed. It's like,
yep.
Well, the seasons have been slowly changing because I don't know. I'd say September now is a summer month basically for our area.
Last couple of years, it's kind of been that way. Yeah. Like summer's getting a little bit later almost. Like even last year, we had, I don't know, 2-3 days at least in October where we could swim. Like that doesn't always happen. Sometimes, like when I was little, we used to have snow sometimes on Halloween.
Oh yeah, it used to snow here every day on Halloween. Still kind of does somewhat. It's like a 50-50 rate now, but it used to be every single time. Yep. Did you see Marvin Harrison Jr. is still recovering from his injuries last year? That's not good for fantasy purposes.
No, I did not see that actually.
I saw that before we came on. It's like Marvin Harrison Jr. still has lingering effects from injuries, not just the one injuries from like last season. I'm like, Jesus Christ, that's not good.
Yeah, not at all. Because that was those were soft tissue, right? It was a foot and hamstring, I believe.
Yeah, something like that. Stuff you would think that he'd be good to go for training camp, right? But,
yeah, and I mean it's still early, so obviously he's got time to turn that around. But either way, not good because he didn't finish healthy.
No,
came back and played the last game, and I want to say it was like 40 or 50% of the snaps. It wasn't a full workload either.
No, and I'm expecting big things from Marv if he's going to follow in his father's footsteps. It starts this year. So, but we got a couple things we can talk about points. We can talk about wide receivers here. So I'll pull up. This is wide receivers most yards in history by the age of. So Juju owns ages 21 and 22. Juju Smith.
Yeah, that makes sense because Antonio Brown on the opposite side of the field. That was when he put up 1,400 yards or something.
Oh yeah, that's when Juju was
second-year player,
number one dynasty asset too. After those 2 years, thank God I traded him. Ages 23 to 27 are Justin Jefferson, which again makes sense because
that makes sense. Right, and that's also about the time he came into the league, right? 21, 22.
Yeah, I think he was a little bit older, 22, I think.
Yeah.
And then we got Randy Moss at 29, but 28 for the Vikings and 29 for the Raiders with Randy Moss. Then Julio Jones slips in there with age 30. And then from 31 to 33 is Randy Moss again. And then from age 34 to 43 is Jerry Rice.
Yeah, I don't know that one's going to be topped anytime soon.
I don't think it ever will be. And that was with the 49ers, the Raiders, and the Seahawks. So I don't know if you're ever going to have another wide receiver play the game after 40, man. That is so hard to do at that position.
It is, and especially when you consider like receivers now, like Devontae Adams is 34 this season, I think, or turns 34 this season. And like seeing what he did last year, if you look at his numbers, like you can look at the fact that his catch rate was only 53% with Matthew Stafford and say that should improve. But do you think he scores more than 13 touchdowns like he had last year? Or
No,
no,
I don't
14
think so.
last year. Right. So it's not even just the touchdown production. It's everything else, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
they tried to do some deep stuff and it really didn't work with Adams and Stafford. Like maybe they can get on the same page with a full offseason. I don't know, but
Well, you also got Devontae Adams as the second wide receiver in McVay's system that likes to run at least 2 tight ends, right? So there's not a lot of looks for the
Right.
second wide receiver. So him getting those touchdowns is pretty incredible. And that shows how good he actually is for the McVay system when you actually understand his, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that back shoulder fade.
Yeah,
So
that's exactly why they brought him in too, right? In my opinion. We also got the most career games with 150 plus receiving yards in a game. So Jerry Rice clearly tops the list. He's got 30.
right, makes sense.
30
of them.
What do you think the next number is?
Oh man. Well, I'm going to say at least less than half of that. So let's go 12.
Close, just over half. There's
Okay.
2 of them. Terrell Owens with 17 and Lance Allsworth with 17.
That's fair. Lance Allsworth, I never would have guessed.
No,
Theo,
neither would I when I saw this list. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
that's pretty impressive from when he played the game, right?
Absolutely. That makes it even more impressive because that was not a passing game then. And it's funny because we talk about the NFL going in cycles. And do you think we're still in a passing league? I think the rules are kind of set up that way, except it seems like we're in more of a rushing league now. More teams going to committees.
I think we're going to something new this year that we haven't seen yet.
Heavy. heavy. Lots of tight ends.
Personnel, but I think it's going to be like the middle passing game to the tight end and check downs to running backs mostly.
Yeah.
Like,
so not so much
one wide receiver on each team that's worth owning for fantasy purposes, but that second and third slot guy is slowly going to be faded out because guys are getting bigger now and stronger, which means that the run game's coming back.
Yeah, which is interesting because we did go through that phase where the NFL was getting a little shorter and faster, and now it seems like the big guys are coming back again. It's just there's very diverse teams all around. Like even look at some of these teams like the Browns, for example. They got Casey Concepcion, who's a smaller speed guy that can do it all. But then you got the bigger guy in Denzel Boston, who's 6'4", who's also a speed freak. Like it's just kind of crazy. And then Fanon, of course, is the hybrid, huge tight end that just does all kinds of crazy things.
Yep. Well, for sure. Did you want to look at some more of that list, or
who else we got on there that stands out to you? Anyone?
That stands out. We got Megatron. Megatron's got 15. So does Tariq Hill's got 16. Julio Jones has 16. Isaac Bruce has 14. Steve Smith Sr., Evans, and Antonio Brown are all at 14. The one that surprises me is Don Maynard at 15.
Oh, that's another one.
Yeah,
that's
it's just like back in the day, right? Like if you're before the 80s or even in the 80s, really too, on certain teams, right? Because there's really 4 or 5 teams that passed. But if you're in the 80s and you freaking can put up 150 yards 15 times, that's impressive. Because the game
I agree.
Doesn't allow for it.
Well, and also the season wasn't as long. Like we've got a 17-game season. For a while there, it was only like 12 to 14.
Yeah, which is also crazy. But with those 2 wide receiver charts, I figured we might as well get into the greatest trio to ever grace the NFL. I mean, this stems generations, obviously, because it's per team. So they got 3 teams on here. I think they got the right 3 teams, whoever did up this last list. You got the 49ers. We got John Taylor, Jerry Rice, and Terrell Owens. You got the Minnesota Vikings with Chris Carter, Justin Jefferson, and Randy Moss. And then we have the Dallas Cowboys with, what's his name there? The Hail Mary guy. Just got in the Hall of Fame. 88 Club. They got the 388s anyways.
It's
Lamb, Irvin, and I think it starts with an S. It's Roger Staubach's guy.
Yeah. Shoot, I'm trying to blank. Stallworth?
That's it.
Yeah.
So those are, I think, the 3 best trio to ever grace franchises. Now, I'm going to be a little biased here, and obviously I'm going to go with the 49ers because I think Jerry Rice and Terrell Owens were 2 of the greatest wide receivers to ever do the game because they could do everything.
Yeah. I also wonder, too, when you do some of these lists, like how much does fantasy impact us? Because a part of me really wants to go with the Vikings there when you add Justin Jefferson to Chris Carter and Randy Moss, we just had what was really a terrible season for Justin Jefferson, right? Because of his quarterback play. Right. I don't remember that ever happening with Chris Carter and Randy Moss, but I also wasn't playing fantasy then because they were before my time. Like I saw them before I was into fantasy, right? So
yeah,
I'm wondering, like,
the Niners get the little bit of advantage here, right? Because their guys are all done playing. Where the Vikings still have Justin Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb for the Cowboys still playing. So we don't know how they're going to end yet, right?
Yep. So it makes it tougher, like you said, and that's where I think like fantasy, like if you had Justin Jefferson on your team last year, like you're probably done with him because he just destroyed your fantasy teams. But he's still a phenomenal player, and that was not his fault whatsoever, right? So it's always interesting to get into these all-time conversations and the impact that fantasy has on how we feel about these guys, even just as football players.
Oh yeah, and like Stallworth to me, he's the weakest guy on this sheet of 9 guys.
Yeah.
So that to me just takes out the Cowboys from this conversation, and it always comes down to the Vikings versus the 49ers. Now the part here is how I look at it. The 49ers are top heavy in this, having the 2 best ones. But if you go with those 6 guys, John Taylor's the worst wide receiver out of those 6.
Right.
So it's like, how much of a lead did 49ers get with Terrell Owens and Jerry Rice compared to the other guys? You know what I mean?
Right. And that's kind of where and that's where for me, I think I lean Vikings with Jefferson as the 3rd guy over John Taylor.
Oh yeah. Like I can't argue that because I think Chris Carter, he was in my Rushmore of wide receivers. So, and over Randy Moss, because I think Chris Carter was just that type of guy, right? But then I've seen interviews since then. We've done that Rushmore where Bill Belichick was talking about how Randy Moss came to the league, and he was saying how, you know, Randy's like, I'm not running those routes, which were the ones that he ran lazy in Minnesota. But apparently Bill was saying that they never listened to him about his speed, so he developed all those new type of routes for down the middle to use his speed, and that's why he set the touchdown record for a season with Tom Brady that year.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I'm like, okay, well, if he was just running lazy routes in Minnesota on purpose because he was just pulling the defenders, that changes my whole aspect on how I look at Randy. He wasn't just being lazy. He just wasn't giving it full tilt because he knew he was never going to see the ball. And if you know that all the time, why the hell would you run full tilt?
Well, and you could also use that from the coaching perspective. Like, why should we keep throwing this guy the ball if he's not being a team player? He knows he's not getting the ball and he lets up.
Yeah,
you know?
And that's what I'm saying, that I've kept Randy down for so much. You've heard me talk about
it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But now I'm saying, if Randy went to the coaching staff and said, this doesn't work for me, and you continued to go with the same shit that he's complaining about, then now it's more on the coaching staff than on Randy Moss, in my opinion.
Well, to bring it back to modern day, isn't that kind of the story that was coming out about Jacksonville last year with Brian Thomas Jr.? That they didn't want to necessarily hear what he was having to say about things?
Yeah, for sure. Well, Liam Cohen, right? He's a young coach. He's got a lot to learn.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's also the personality aspect, which, like, we can't pretend it doesn't impact things. Like, Chris Carter's been a TV personality forever, and a lot of people really like him, right? So
Chris Carter, he's the only one, too, that come right out of high school into the NFL.
Yeah, he was so much fun to watch. He's the one that
still hasn't been anybody to do that, man. And he had to go through legal battles and everything just to get to it. So originally drafted by Philadelphia too, didn't work out there, then was traded to the Vikings, became the Chris Carter we know. But we'll move on. So we'll do this here. So who do you think was better at football than what people actually remember? We got 6 names here: Sterling Sharp, Priest Holmes, Sean Alexander, Jamal Lewis, Steve Smith Sr., or Adrian Foster.
All right, give me those names again. It was right
Sterling
before
Sharp.
Steve Smith is. Okay, so I know he was big in Madden. With how big Madden is, I think that he probably gets his due. Who's the next one?
Well, everyone remembers Sterling Sharp as being fucking incredible just with a shortcut career due to injuries, right? So
yeah,
people are high.
Right, so that's where I'm thinking. You're saying that
this is better than they remember. So this is a guy that people got to be looking down on, but you're like, no, this guy is actually way better than what you're talking about.
Right.
So the next one is Priest Holmes.
Yeah, I think people remember how good he was, at least for that one season.
Oh, I think Priest Holmes just dominated for 3-4 years.
Yeah, he was dominating.
Sean Alexander, who had that one great season where he set the touchdown record before LT broke it.
Yeah, so he's the one that stood out to me and maybe it's just because namesake, right? But I think for him, he's the guy that I don't think people realize how good he was, just also because of the era that he was in. There were so many other good running backs at that time.
Yeah. Then we
So
got Jamal
he's
Lewis,
the one I think that stands out.
Jamal Lewis, who hit the 2,000 yards and kind of
He also had that.
that.
I think he had that 300-yard game against the Browns too, didn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So
then we got
That was
Steve
another
Smith, Sr., which I don't really
Mhm.
know why he's on this list because to me, he changed football, right? He's the one that gave all these shorter guys opportunities in the league, the quickness and all that sort of stuff to come in.
and showed that even at that size, you could play bigger. So
Yep.
I'm surprised he was on this list also.
And then Adrian Foster to end it, who came from the practice squad and worked
Yeah,
his
he's
way into NFL fandom.
and he's also the one, if I remember right, that everybody looks to and says he recovered from the Achilles, like had one good year after.
Did he
Was it the
really?
Achilles?
I don't know.
I think
if
it was
he
the
did or
Achilles.
not.
Might have been a hamstring. There was a particular injury that he
No,
came
I
back
remember.
from.
I can't remember what the exact injury was. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think it
know
was
if
Achilles.
I think he had a decent season, not a good season, not a typical Adrian Foster season, but one you're like, okay,
Right.
well, maybe you can come back, but then he never did. But I
Yeah,
agree
exactly.
with you. To me, I look at this list and I'm like, Sean Alexander, yeah, okay, he did make it to the one Super Bowl with Jeff Hofstetter. No, was it Jeff? Matt Hasselbeck.
Yeah, Matt Hasselbeck. That was it.
Yeah.
Yep. In what was that? 2008, 9?
Something like that, but he was on bad teams before that, right? And even after that, there was about 2 year stretch where he had a decent team around him where you could actually see what he could do. He broke that touchdown record, but that guy was a grinder, man, just a football player at the running back position.
Yeah, and the other thing I liked about him is that he could do it all. They threw him the ball, he ran the ball, he had good vision, good balance, and he wasn't that like huge guy that was just running everybody over, and he wasn't the smallest guy on the field either. Just one of those gonna grind it out. I'm gonna get you my yards. I'm gonna score the touchdowns. I don't know that I can be the whole offense, but I can be a huge piece to make it easier for my quarterback. And I think that's one of the reasons it worked so well for him and Matt Hasselbeck, because Hasselbeck was that pro's pro, not great at anything, but he's going to do what's there.
Yeah, typical game manager. All right,
Yep.
We'll get on to the head coaches. So this is the new head coaches. There's
All right.
10 of them in the league. You got Stefanski in Atlanta, Harbaugh in the Giants, Jeff Hafley, the Dolphins, Robert Saleh, Tennessee. Baltimore has Jesse Minter. Pittsburgh's got McCarthy, Joe Brady in Buffalo. Arizona with LaFleur. Cleveland's got Moncton and Kubiak in Vegas. So, like, which head coach will finish with the best record of these 10 teams?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Between 3 teams to me.
So for me, I've got the Raiders up there on one of them, just
Really?
because I really like Kubiak, man. I like what he does as an offense. He sets up his players to do what they do best and not just try to put them in his mold.
But I look at him like he might be a 5-play coach, but it's going to take time to get the players that he needs in that system to do what he needs.
Right, and that's kind of my hesitation, because I don't think Mendoza's starting right away, and what we saw in Atlanta with Cousins last year was not pretty. But I really like what they were able to do this offseason. Yeah.
Chargers are strong. Broncos are strong. I don't think the Vegas Raiders have the personnel to compete with those 3 teams.
That's part of it too, is the divisions that they're in, right? Because initially I thought about Atlanta with the talent that they have on offense. But again, you got quarterback questions. And with what we saw from Stefanski last year, like, I'm not even positive he's still a good coach. Like, what the hell was that? You know? So
you haven't even mentioned any of the 3 teams that I think would finish with the best record.
Well, the Bills, to me, are an obvious one because Brady was there last year too. So they also have the continuity going.
Yep. My other 2 would be the Raiders. Or not the Raiders, the Ravens with Jesse Minter.
Right.
Because they've, still a good team. And my other one's the Steelers.
Good organization.
Even though I hate McCarthy, I look at that team and I'm like, can he fuck this up bad enough, or can he just like muddle his way through?
So it's interesting, right? Last year, Tomlin never had a losing season. You're totally out on the Steelers. This is going to be the first year he has a losing season. This year, I'm on the opposite, where I'm like, this might be the worst season we've seen from the Steelers in a while. As much as I like some of the talent around them.
Now that
you're on the Steelers.
Now that you say that, it's like, okay, but you're just so used to the Steelers not having a losing record, right? It's like, okay, now you get the Tomlin effect. He's not there anymore. So how bad
Yes.
is this team actually?
Exactly. Isn't it crazy?
Yeah, I didn't think about that, but I'd probably go with Buffalo for the safe pick, followed by the Steelers.
All right. Well, then you're more optimistic on my Steelers, I think, than I am. I want to come around on them. I really do. It's just, man, it's McCarthy. Maybe that's what it is. I just dislike McCarthy that much more than I like Tomlin.
You
And so
can't
now it's just
dislike McCarthy more than I dislike McCarthy.
yeah, and you're still picking them to have a good team. So
Amongst these
interesting.
10 teams,
Yeah,
I'd have
that's
them
fair.
second.
All right. Well, it'll
I
be
think
fun
they
to
got
follow.
a better personnel to work with than most of these other teams.
And that is the part for me that like I have some optimism. I'm trying to really keep it in check because of the McCarthy effect. And I don't know what this team is going to look like. Like, what are you going to try to do? Are you going to try to throw the ball a ton? You should, based on your receivers and your
With
running
the
back room.
43-year-old quarterback.
That's the part of it, right? You got a 43-year-old quarterback with a noodle arm. Lowest yards per attempt in all of the league last year, and it wasn't close. Like, I think his yards per attempt were like 4.6 or something like that. That's crazy. That means you're only throwing to your running backs and short slants.
Well, you got to look at the routes too, right? Like a lot of juju routes.
Right. And how much of that was just this is our Arthur Smith offense. This is what we're gonna do.
Yeah, I can't stand Arthur Smith. So you haven't said who you're going with here.
For
Most wins.
Oh, Bills. To me,
All
it's
right.
easy.
All right. Well, let's get in. Talk some ball.
Yes, sir.
Time for the Grape Light, where we discuss what's happening around the league.
All right, time to get into some crazy news because yesterday, even this week has been a crazy week for football. Once June 1st came,
Yeah.
things were gone flying. We got a couple major trades here that have happening. One of them, which involves Myles Garrett going to the Los Angeles Rams. So the Rams send a first, second, third, along with Jarrett Verse to get Myles Garrett, which I heard McVay talking to the GM too. They tried as like hell to keep Verse on the team, but the Browns weren't even going to make the deal unless they got Verse in the package, which totally agree with. Smart by Andrew Berry to do. Excellent move for the Browns because by the time they find their quarterback, get that team going with how they've been, if you're going to build it right, Myles Garrett will be 33, 34 by the time you're ready. So ship him off. He's been good for Cleveland. Allow him to go out and have the opportunity to even play for a Super Bowl because even though the Rams are a favorite, you still got to go out there and do it. So I like this trade all around. I know Niners fans are like pissed off and all this stuff. Myles Garrett coming. We could have done that. We could have matched it, whatever. I look at it like, oh, fuck, I get 2 for sure games and I'm going to get to watch Myles Garrett play football, kind of like I did Aaron Donald, right? Like I know when they're on defense, I'm most likely watching Myles Garrett on the field.
Yep. Browns fans seem to be mixed reaction. A lot of it is anger because he was and is a great player. You never like to see great players go out the door. But like you said, I think there are parts you can look at this and go, this is actually a smart move for the Browns. It's unfortunate because it makes it a smart move because of the Deshaun Watson trade, essentially, because now you got to worry about that Garrett contract, which $40 million a year. And I think you said with escalators, it ends up like 60 or 80 by the end of it. Like just insane numbers. But
well, you know what's the crazy number? Is Myles Garrett is only making $8.5 million for this season coming up.
Which is just insane. But when you factor in the fact that flags fly forever, if they get one Super Bowl out of this, it's worth whatever you gave up.
Oh, for sure.
And with that team they've got on the field
too, with that 8.5 hit, that leaves the door open for Aaron Donald to come back because he can just execute his last year of his contract and they have the room to pay that.
Which would just be insane to put those two on the field. Like you got to love this as a Rams fan. And then I don't know if we mentioned the second is in 2028 and the third is in 2029. So you're getting next season for the Browns. They will be picking they get the Rams first round pick and Jared Verse. And Jared Verse, like we said, he's a good young player. He is a first round pick. So in some ways you're looking at it as 2 firsts. Well, we'll see.
Here's a sheet I saw that a lot of people are talking about. So it's the comparison between Myles Garrett's first 2 years as a Cleveland Brown versus Jarrett's first 2 years as a Ram. So Jarrett Verse has played 5 more games because he's gone into the playoffs. which Myles Garrett has never had. Sacks, obviously, Myles Garrett's more of a sack king versus more all around. So Myles had 20 and a half sacks, Verse has 12. Total tackles.
12 is still pretty good.
Yeah. Total tackles, Garrett had 75. Verse has 124. So he's got over 50 on him. Solo tackles, 54 for Garrett, 71 for Verse. Tackles for losses are pretty much even, 21 to 22. Forced fumbles, 4 for Garrett, 5 for Verse. Fumble recoveries, 1 for Myles, 1 for Verse. So it's when you're looking at them, you're like, okay, this is just the Browns taking a guy that when they're ready to compete, he's going to be too old and not what he was, and getting the maximum they could get from him. And by the time they're ready to compete, Verse is going to be in his prime at 28 years old.
Yeah, and that's where if you are going to deal a player like Myles Garrett, generational talent, like the one thing those stats don't show is how much attention the offense has to pay to Myles Garrett. Jared Verse is not that player yet, but if you believe in your coaching staff and you can develop him into that, then you're taking those first round picks hoping to get a guy like Myles Garrett, and you're resetting the clock on the asset, right? Because like you said, he's towards the end of his career where Verse is just getting started.
Yeah,
So
and one defensive rookie of the year too. Let's not forget that. So it's like no
Yes.
chump change here. But I have been scouring the last 2 weeks interviews with McVay, Aaron Donald, and all this sort of stuff. Basically, there's one where Aaron Donald talks about Sean McVay called him 7 days before this trade was executed, and said, we're thinking of trading for Myles Garrett. What do you think of him as a player? You know, just talking about him like that. Donald said, I started getting the itch then. 4 days before the trade happened, he posts on Instagram a workout video. What did I say that word was to you? I texted it to you. It was like getting ready or something like, no, that was a song, getting ready. But the song was like, the title was Pumped or something like that, where it's like, okay. And then an interview after that, he was talking about, no, I always stay in shape so that if I ever decide I want to go out there, then I'm ready already. And then in that same interview, he goes on talking about, if I can find the fire to want to play, then I'm going to play. I could still do it. It's just I need to find that fire. So that's where we're at with Aaron Donald coming to play with Myles Garrett. And the two of them are on the field at the same time. You can't even focus on one of those guys.
Yeah. And that's the thing, too, with Donald. I don't think he even has to necessarily come back at 100% of what Aaron Donald was. Like, if he comes back at 80%, he was so good that it's one of those situations where defenses, if they look at him and go, oh, crap, that's Aaron Donald, his history is still coming with him.
Well,
even if he's not,
think he'd be coming back at 80%, because you look at those videos that he worked out with Jarrett Verse, who's obviously in the top form of his life, because Aaron Donald's showing him how to work out, and Verse is throwing up in a bucket because he can't keep up with Aaron Donald's workout program, who's retired.
Which is just crazy. No, I'm just thinking it's hard to go that long without playing football, and it still takes time to get back in football shape, and the body doesn't recover the same, regardless of how good your workout routine is. That's all I'm thinking.
But I think he comes back at around 90, just because of how in shape he stays, right?
Yep, just crazy. That defense, and if you're the Rams, you absolutely have to love the direction of this team right now. And like, if you want to be mad about picking Ty Simpson at 13, like I think that just makes it even better for this team, because look at what you've done. You've just made your team so much better through the draft. Like, even if you ignore that Ty Simpson pick, and you've set it up so that even as you get older, you still have young guys waiting. Like, they have 2 tight ends that they drafted in the last 2 years. It's just this team's doing crazy things.
Oh, they're drafted for now, or building for now, and drafting for later. So they're going to be dangerous for a long time. We had another big trade too. AJ Brown got traded for a 28th first and a 27th fifth to the New England Patriots.
So I got to ask you, because we didn't really talk about it, what do you think of this compensation? Because to me, it seems weird.
Well, they got more than they paid.
What do you mean?
Well, when they got them.
Oh, the Eagles did, you mean?
Yeah. The Eagles were on the clock, and they paid
it's 17
to get AJ Brown, and sent that pick to the Titans, right? So they gained the 5th round pick. So the compensation to me seems all right. You got a couple of years in a Super Bowl out of them, and you gained a 5th and got your first back.
Oh yeah, I'm just thinking 28 first. You got to wait a little bit, and the 5th-round pick. I don't know. I guess I was just thinking it would be earlier compensation than 2028 for the big
Yeah, but
one.
think of this Eagles team. Do you really want a 27 first? They've got a young team that is like foundational pieces that you don't really want to part with. So you'd rather 28 because some of those contracts are coming up and you're not going to be able to sign them all.
Yeah, so you're thinking that 28 pick is going to be earlier than 27.
Earlier, whatever. It doesn't really matter where it is, but it's a first round pick
Yeah.
while contracts are expiring that you're not going to be able to keep all these young guys that you've drafted, like Cooper DeJean, Jalen Carter, Javen Davis. Like, think of the guys they've drafted, man. They got a lot of young, good talent there in Philadelphia.
That they do.
So
That's why I'm just thinking
it's chess GM while everybody else is playing checkers, right? Because he's looking ahead going, oh, this is where I need the rookie pick because I'm going to have to lose some contracts here.
Well, that's Roseman, right?
Yeah. So that's how I look at that.
Level.
Like, whatever, right? But we also had this one surprised me. Odell Beckham, not surprised, but why? Signed with the Giants for a year.
And this just has to be a retire as a Giant, right? He hasn't done anything when he's been on the field the last few years, even if he's been on the field.
Okay.
Sat out all of last season. I don't know.
No cartilage in his knee and has missed about a year and a half of football at least.
Yeah, I mean, wants to play with Dart. I get the excitement. They have a need, right?
And if they brought him in to be a player's coach, because that is a young wide receiver room, I get that. But you also have Darius Slayton and Darnell Mooney there, who are veterans that could do the same thing.
Right, and that's the other side is, do you want all of the drama that comes with Odell Beckham teaching your receiver room? Don't get me wrong, he's a great receiver, but the reason you can be a diva is because you're a great receiver. It's not the other way around. Like, diva makes you a great receiver.
See, I never looked at him as a diva.
No?
No, I just looked at it as a guy who had a hard time focusing his passion where it needed to be and expressed himself in wrong ways when he wasn't winning. Because if you look at him, it was all while he was losing. It wasn't like A.J. Brown, they're winning. Throw me the ball, throw me the ball, throw me the ball. That's the diva.
That's fair.
He wasn't bitching about
argument.
Get me the ball to win. He just wanted to fucking win. So I'll go to bat for Odell Beckham until the day I die because that guy was just misguided. If you could have focused his attentions and put it on the field, could you imagine what he could have done?
Well,
because the energy of just throwing shit around and stuff. Like, and then we had finally the NFL can rest because Russell Wilson has retired. I thought he retired as soon as the friggin' shithawks traded him.
Yeah. So did he officially retire? Because I did see he's taking a job in media. I just didn't know if he actually announced retirement. I thought maybe it was one of those, all right, I'll take a job in media until somebody hires me.
Nope, I think you missed it. He retired right in between the two trades.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So you could have missed it
easily. I did see he took a job in media, though, which.
Yeah. And then,
I mean,
he
that's
retired
where he belongs, right? He's a character.
Kind of within 5 minutes of each other.
Yeah. Well, he is a character, so that media career might work out for him.
Yep. All right. Well, let's move on. We got something with your Steelers here. They have fired their assistant senior special team, Darius Smith II, for personal misconduct. Did you hear anything on what that was?
I did not. I didn't even see that we fired anybody. So wonder what that's all about.
I don't know what's going on there, but he's done something to piss off McCarthy already because McCarthy's the one that brought him in.
Yeah, which is that's what I was going to say. How do we fire somebody? We haven't even done anything yet. OTAs?
Yeah, he was with the Chargers last year, so we might as well. Who's this? This is the Steelers. Okay, so we got the Minnesota Vikings have finally hired their GM. It's the guy from Seattle. I didn't write his name down, but he's been at Seattle, their assistant, learning from what's his name there? Schneider? No, not Schneider.
Yeah, it is Schneider, isn't it? Or is he the? No, I'm drawing a blank. I can't remember their GM, or I'm not sure. I'm drawing a blank on Seattle. There's certain teams that for some reason their front office is just I don't remember at all. Seattle's one of them.
We also got the Steelers. This one surprised me a bit. I saw it this morning. They signed Nick Hermberg to an extension. Did you see this?
Yeah,
4 years, $100 million.
Yeah, I didn't see the guarantee. I saw that it was a $100 million contract. And Herbig has been a big piece of that offense. And if you remember last year, I was saying get on him in IDP, and then he had a good season.
Oh, I drafted him in
So-
that 32 league in the third round, so I've just been holding him.
Yeah, he's had his moments. He's not been like an every down guy, but when somebody hurts, he steps in and he fills the role nicely. And I think that he's a good piece for us. So I like it.
Yeah, and that's all he's been is like a role filler. He hasn't been on the field constantly, like because TJ
Right.
Watt's there, and he comes in when TJ Watt's hurt, or what's the other guy? Starts with an S.
Spillane.
Yeah, those two guys are the main ones, right? And he would come in if one of them were injured. So,
Well, that was the whole thing. Is Spillane left after last season? He went. I want to say Tennessee, maybe.
so maybe Herberg
I'm
comes
thinking
onto the
something
scene this year for IDP. All right, we also got the Broncos gave Patrick Surtain a $5 million raise for some reason. Just here, you won Defensive Player of the Year. We're going to give you another $5 million a year, so they reworked that.
Nothing wrong with that. Pay your guys.
Drake London also got paid. He got 4 years, $141 million, $100 million guaranteed.
Yep, that's a lot of money. And when that one came through, my first thought was Puka. That man, if he can quit biting people, is going to get himself a lot of money.
Oh, he's going to be friggin' insane amount of money, man. Insane. We've got a couple other things here. We got Congress has asked Roger Goodell to come in and testify on the TV contract deals. I can't wait for those hearings. If he even goes, I don't think he'll go.
Well, and if he even says anything, and if he's even asked hard questions, it's just so many of these hearings just turn into TV and let's be dramatic and not actually say anything. That's my only holdup, but I do want to see it still. I'm here for it. Like, defend yourself.
Then in the NCAA, Sorsby had his second hearing from a judge, 2 hours. He's got till he's taken all the testimony in for consideration, but Sorsby's lawyer has asked for a decision before June 22nd because that's the deadline to enter the consolation draft.
Yeah, and man, this story's going to get so interesting. Browns GM Andrew Berry came out, I don't know if you saw this, and said that it'd be messy, I think is the word he used, to try to pick up Sorsby. I think with these hearings, one of the things that could come out of this is that Sorsby forces the NCAA to say, okay, you're ineligible. Because it's the whole situation's weird, right? Like he checks himself into rehab and then the NCAA is like, oh, wait, you did something illegal. We need to get into this. And I don't see how he has a case, honestly, because it's very clear.
If he checked himself in, he's got a case.
See, that's where I still think you're wrong.
Come to light to them had he not done that, and he's seeking help. And now that he's seeking help, you want to punish him. You have to be there as an employer to help your employee with their personal problems in drug addiction, gambling addiction, whatever type of addiction. When they tell you there's a problem, right?
Yes and no, because you're also, as an employee, you are responsible for your own actions, and you took this job knowing that you cannot gamble on football, and then you went and did it anyway. Like, I understand you're trying to get help, but there's still consequences for the actions. Like, every athlete, whether college, professional, amateur, knows you cannot gamble on your sport. And especially with something like the NCAA, who has already had their own issues with discipline, right? Like, you had to know something was coming. And I understand wanting to get help, but like,
it's going to be interesting because if the NCAA says no, you're ineligible, and yeah, technically now you can enter that consolation draft. But even Andrew Berry went on to say, like, I don't know, it's a slippery slope, because if this guy does get the ineligible and then he skips the process of the NCAA to get into the NFL, that's bad logistics.
Yes.
And then you also had Monken talking about it, and Monken just flat out said, no, that would not be good for our QB room right now.
Right. Right.
So,
and I agree, because there's so much coming around it. It's just, that's where I think, like, he's put himself in this situation. It is unfortunate that he's being punished because he's trying to get help, but you got to hit the bottom somewhere. I think this is his bottom. And like, his lawyers are trying to spin it as this is a mental health issue. And one of his excuses that he gave for why he was gambling was so that he felt like part of the team. Bro, you're on the sideline. What do you mean you don't feel like part of the team? You're practicing every day. You're on the sidelines with the team. Come on. Sorry, I don't buy that.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to watch, right? Because it's way different than the booty one.
Oh, very. Yeah.
All right, we got a couple things from the UFL too before we move on. So we get the camera right here so you can see your face. Deuce Vaughn has signed with the Orlando Storm in time for the playoffs.
Wow. And they're the 1 seed. We'll get into it, but that's interesting. I thought he was still with the Cowboys, wasn't he?
Yeah, like the picture that the Storm produced is him in a Cowboys uniform. So and I think he's going to blow it up, man.
Yeah, take an opportunity, man. You know he's in football shape.
Yep, for sure. And then here's another interesting thing that I come across on the UFL. So there's this thing out there. I found it on X. I've got the post posted up here of what I've seen. I want to look into this more, but UFL News Hub put the UFL is blackballing players from the league. Basically, certain players that are too old, they'll say, that are never going to get a chance to get into the NFL are being passed over for guys that are not as talented, but you can still develop. So it's like one of those fine lines, right? Because that's supposed to be a developmental league for the NFL.
Yeah. I was just going to say, to me, that reads as the UFL is saying, hey, we don't even want you guys to just go and retire from the NFL and then come dominate our league. Like, we would rather have these younger guys have a chance to also develop here so that they can have that stepping stone. Like, we don't want you to just turn into a retired NFL league. It kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I get it. Like, I think it's better for the league to have the younger guys and have them constantly going up into the NFL instead of guys coming down from the NFL that still want to play into the UFL.
Right.
So makes sense to me, but that's what we got for the news. Now that you got the grapes, go make the wine.
NFL time. Let's get into it. The league that the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has things to do with, United Football League.
All right, we're in the UFL talk. Did you watch any of the games this weekend?
I caught a little bit of the Saturday game, the earlier one.
Did you get to watch the halftime show?
No, I didn't. They do halftime shows? I didn't even know they did halftime shows.
Well, kind of, because they used the halftime show basically to promote the league. So I watched 3 of the games, and every halftime show is the exact same. So it's just a pre-recorded. It's like, here you go. There's no people talking about the league. It's just this halftime show is a guy got traded from one team. They call him in. They're like, we traded you to this team or whatever. He's like, oh, okay. Because they're like, you're not on the team anymore, but we traded you. So you still got another team. Here's the paperwork. Walk down the hall and go check into your new team. They follow this guy as he walks down the hall. And then there's an actual team meeting going on where he was traded, I think, he was traded from the Dallas Renegades to a playoff team anyways. Okay. So he walks in and they're like, oh, hey. And he's like, hey, I just been traded. They're like, have a seat. And like, he starts introducing himself to the new team. That is crazy. So I start looking into this. Oklahoma right now is building a stadium that UFL is going to be playing out of in the future. So all games will be
that's pretty cool.
All teams are based out of there. So that's kind of what they're getting used to right now is all team headquarters are all in the same spot.
That's kind of interesting.
I wonder. It makes sense financially for a league just getting started.
Oh, absolutely. Especially when you got, 8 teams, 10 teams, I think now, because they added a couple. One of the things that is also interesting about that is that I wonder if there is more trades because of it. You know what I mean? I
wouldn't see why not. Like Perez was traded to the Battlehawks. I think it was actually Perez from the Renegades to the Battlehawks that this was about.
Oh, that could be interesting, especially too because he's the MVP of the league.
Yeah, just freaking hilarious.
So, it's real weird.
But we can talk about some of these games that happened in the final week. So the first game we had happened on Friday was the Dallas Renegades versus the St. Louis Battlehawks. And about 2 minutes before halftime, man, because I was watching this game, I want to say there were 6 turnovers. Right?
Yeah, that was the big thing in this one was St. Louis lost the turnover battle, and it was all later. Just couldn't overcome it, I think.
Oh, yeah. Well, the Renegades had 7 sacks, 2 interceptions, and St. Louis had 4 sacks and 2 interceptions. So it was a great defensive game. St. Louis obviously ended up losing. They did get within 3 points with the Hakeem Butler touchdown, but they couldn't really do much after that. Reed had a pretty decent game. He threw 162 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Perez on the other side threw for 274, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. But they were already in the playoffs, so it didn't really matter too much for St. Louis. It was just a game of pride for Dallas.
Now, I thought they were both eliminated in this one. Weren't they both 4-6?
Nope. St. Louis is 6-4. They had already clinched before this.
So maybe that was part of it, was they clinched. It was just, okay, we'll just go play loose. And play loose turned into interceptions and a loss.
Yep. The second game we had was between the Houston Gamblers going in to play the Birmingham Stallions, and Houston's eliminated. Birmingham was eliminated. So
I think this is the one I was thinking of. Yeah, they're both
Houston won 26-13. Houston had a different quarterback in there, John Rise Plumlee, who threw for 118, no touchdowns, 1 interception. Houston had 3 sacks. DTR on the other side had 112 yards, 1 touchdown, no interception. And 2 interceptions for Birmingham and 3 sacks for Houston. But Houston pretty much controlled this game right from the start.
Yeah, I think it was their running back had 99 yards and a touchdown too. It was just control the game. I know they had control of this game start to finish. It was within a score for most of the game, but it was all Houston.
Yep. First time Birmingham hasn't been in the playoffs since this league's formed.
Yep, and I think they lost their coach, right? Didn't we mention that going into this season? Now. What's that?
AJ McCarron's the coach of the Stallions now.
Yeah, so I think we talked about that being maybe a learning process, and well, it has been. We'll see how much he learned.
All right, the next game we got here was the Orlando Storm, who's already clinched first place, going against the DC Defenders. Orlando won this 29-23, putting DC to 5-5, which DC I think is already the 4th place team.
Yeah, they backed into the playoffs with this one.
Yep. And then the Storm go 8-2 to finish first overall. Plummer had 203 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Camper had 3 catches for 93 yards and a touchdown for him. And the Storm had 2 receptions.
Camper was one I don't think we've said his name all season.
No, we haven't.
Yeah. 3 for 93 and a touchdown.
Yep. Welcome to the party. But that's when this is when you start trying guys deeper on the level, right? Like,
yep.
Let's see how depth we really got before we get in the playoffs. Bean for DC threw 165 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, but he had 116 on the ground as well. And Powell was his number 1 receiver with 5 catches for 70 yards.
And this was the one where I wondered if because that's another new quarterback, they weren't starting all season. So I was curious as to whether they were just resting their starters knowing they were in the playoffs.
I would think so.
I think so too.
There's a couple of teams that did that. Like even the Kings kind of played a couple guys too that they normally didn't.
Yep, and that was the last game, right?
Yep, we'll get into that now. The Louisville Kings dominated the Columbus Aviators. The Kings were in a situation of winning, you're in, and they took care of business, winning 42-27. Perry put up 89 yards and a touchdown on the ground, but it was 28-21 at half for the Kings, and then they just kind of took off at that point. Weeder had 99 yards and a touchdown. Not much really to say for Columbus, other than they had 3 sacks in this game.
Yeah, and the one thing I could say about Columbus is that their attendance was good because they play in Crew Stadium, which I think is 15,000 seats. They had 11,000 in the seats. So fans are showing up for them at least.
Yeah, can't complain about that.
And like I said, too, when we found out they were playing there, that stadium is very intimate because of the size of it. So there's not a bad seat in the whole place. It'd be a really cool spot to watch a football game.
Oh, I think so, too.
So
you could yell and they'd hear you.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Did I ever tell you about Nate Burlington's story?
Your what? Nate
Burlington's story?
Oh, no.
So we went to see the Lions play the Bills in Buffalo. And my friend's a Lions fan, so I'm like, all right. And I'm like, I need somebody in this game for fantasy purposes. And the only guy available on the waiver wire, because it was near the end of his career, was Nate Burlington. So we go to our seat, and we're basically in the first row, 10 yards from the end zone. And Nate's practicing. I'm like, Nate Burlington. I just yell, right? I'm like, I need a touchdown from you today. I'm starting you in my fantasy lineup. He gives me like a thumbs up. And then the person like right beside me starts trash talking him. And he looks at him. He goes, I break you. Yeah. He ended up getting a freaking touchdown that game for me too. It was hilarious. So that was the only touchdown I think he
that's
scored
awesome.
all season.
Yeah, but that's
pretty
still an
funny.
awesome memory, and like I'm sure that guy, he probably remembers something like that.
Oh, I wonder if he ever, like, he probably never thinks of it, but if I brought it up, I wonder if he'd be
Right.
like, oh yeah, I remember that.
That's what I mean. Like some of these guys, like we talk about what motivates them. Like Brady always was, hey, hate me, and I'm gonna turn that into fuel to dominate you. Like I think some of these guys are just looking for that thing, and then when they find it, that helps them get in the zone. They might not remember every single one of those, but if you bring it up like that, like you're saying, just hey, you remember when that guy yelled at you from the stands that he needed a touchdown because he was starting you? You're like, oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
All right. Well, that brings us to the UFL playoffs. So the first seed we got is Orlando Storm. Second seed is the Battlehawks. The third seed's the Kings, and the fourth seed's the DC Defenders. So both of these games are going to be on Sunday. The first one's at 3 between the DC Defenders and the Orlando Storm. Now, I think the Storm are going to handle this one pretty easily and get to their first finals.
I think so too, especially the way they've been playing. They coming off a big win last week. They have no, I'm thinking of Louisville on the 4-game win streak, but Orlando's been playing well since week
Not
1,
only
essentially.
We got to see Deuce Vaughn and how they're going to use him and that speed.
Yeah. Do they
I think
ease
speed's
him
gonna
in, or
kill
do they
him.
just put him in there right away?
I would with that speed, man. That speed's going to kill in this league because there's like not as many fast guys, right? Because on the defense, if you're fast, they're going to keep you around as long as you can get your hand on the ball.
Yep.
The second game we had, it's at 3:00 or 6:00. The first game's at 3. Second game's at 3:00 on 6:00 on Fox. It's the Kings versus the St. Louis Battlehawks. This one here, I think, is going to be a really good game. The Kings have been playing well all season. They started it slow, but just continued to get better and better as the season went on. Defense is stifling. Offense is coming together. Battlehawks on the other side, they've been an all-around team since this league's kind of formed. A.J. McCarron used to be the quarterback for them, but they've obviously gone on with Perez, who they traded for this season from the Renegade. I think this will be a decent game, come right down to the wire.
I think so too, especially with Louisville, like I said, coming on a 4-game win streak going into the playoffs. That's the way you want to go. St. Louis coming off a loss, kind of backing in. Like, it'll be interesting. Should be a good game we got going on.
I agree. Some playoff football in June. Can't go wrong. But that's what we got for the UFL.
Brighter light.
All right, we're into Brighter Light, where we compare players. Could be many different aspects we look at on how we compare them. So for this one, for Alex, I've got 3 guys that'll be right there around, if you're making a choice, in the 5th, late 5th, early 6th, that you could choose from. 3 wide receivers. So you can choose Mike Evans for the 49ers, older age and wide receiver who's done the game. Jamo from the Lions, kind of up and coming, hasn't quite lived up to his potential, seems to have straightened his life around. Or DJ Moore with the Buffalo Bills, who just got there. But the last time we saw Josh Allen with a decent wide receiver, did all right with Diggs.
Yeah. Whew. This is a tough one for sure, because I like all 3 of these guys, and they all 3 have their problems. Like you said, Mike Evans with his age, and even last season, the first time he doesn't hit 1,000 yards, obviously injury related, but even the year prior, he barely hit that 1,000 yards because of those injuries. I think I'm leaning Jamo here. He's obviously not the guy. Like, if you look at the other 2, Mike Evans and DJ Moore, they're both probably the alpha on their team, right?
Yeah.
So looking at Jameson as the number 2, and the Lions are a run-first team, Jamo coming off his first 1,000-yard season, he's getting a new play caller in Drew Petzing from Arizona. This is tough. I think I'm going to go with Jameson, because he is boom bust, but those big weeks are going to win you weeks, where DJ Moore might be consistent, but it could be as little as 10 to 12 points a week. And I would just rather have that guy that can win me a week. I don't think DJ Moore at this stage of his career, even with Josh Allen, is going to be that. You see it differently?
Well, for me, I'm looking at this as a startup draft from Dynasty, right? Because it's kind of the season that we're in right now.
Right.
Mike Evans, too old for me. I'm not going to consider him at this point, especially like you said, this last two seasons. And like he hit that 1,000 yards 2 years ago on the final play of the game. And it was specific. Everybody knew Mike Evans was getting the ball for that 7 yards, right? So whatever. Jamo, boomer bust. He's going to have those weeks, so he's going to win you. But I don't like those boomer bust guys in the first 5 rounds. I will take them starting in the 6th round going on. So if I'm early in the 6th looking at this, I'm going Jamo. But if I'm in the back half of the 5th, because I've got picks, 9 to 12 somewhere in there, I'm going DJ Moore for the consistency factor.
That's fair, and that just comes down to how you like to play fantasy, right?
Yep, exactly. But I thought this was a very tough choice.
Yeah,
a lot of people.
I agree, and to be fair, I don't like factoring in the draft capital there of a startup in the 5th round. I don't think I went any of the 3 in the 5th round there. Like in the 5th round, I still want a guy that I can guarantee is going to be useful for me for at least the next 2 to 3 years. These guys, that's where I think Jamo could be and still, but I also wonder how many teams are going to be able to actually use him the way that you can maximize his talent. Like some of these teams in the NFL, I don't know if they know how to use speed the right way. No,
after listening to Bill Belichick talk about Randy Moss, I guarantee you nobody knows how to use speed properly.
Right, that's what I mean.
Very few people that have natural speed like that and the athletic ability to be a pass catcher.
Well, and that's the big thing with Jamo coming out. Remember that we talked about all the time on those clubhouse days was his start-stop is insane. And it's one of the best tools he had, him and Jalen Waddle. Now, speed obviously comes with injury too. So there is that. And if you're looking for safety, DJ Moore is easily the safest in this, if you ask me.
Oh, easily.
So
and Jamo's the biggest boom bust guy.
Right. So how do you like to play your game? Like, is he your receiver 2? Give me DJ Moore. If he's my receiver 3, I think Jamo makes more sense. Maybe that's the way to look at it too. Yeah, what'd you do the first 4 rounds?
Yeah, exactly. That's what it's going to come down to. We'll move on to yours now.
All right. So for you, I've got 2 guys. One we watched go absolutely ham to finish the season. Won me a jersey bet. And then on the flip side, we've got a running back that we both love. And you have really had close to, at times, I think he was even your RB1 in the class in Travion Henderson versus Colston Loveland. So different positions. Do you want a top 5 tight end, or do you want a top, I would say 24 to be safe running back?
Well, Henderson is still my RB1 for his class, and Colston Loveland is my tight end 1 for that class, even before the draft happened too.
Yep. And that's the thing. We've seen both have incredible runs of 5 games. So for Loveland, his last 6 games, I believe, if you include playoffs, he averaged 10 targets a game. And with his athleticism, you can't beat that.
I don't really have any questions and concerns around Loveland. I get to Henderson and I naturally want to take him over the tight end because I find it so easy to find tight ends for me. Like I can stream tight end and be fine. But my thing is with Henderson and the Patriots is how fucking stupid is Mike Vrabel going to be, because he's like Belichick and loves Ramondre Stevenson and wants to get the fumbling fool out there.
Well, and that's what's so weird about this, right? Is we saw Henderson dominate for, I think it was 4 or 5 weeks. And then in the playoffs, it was all Stevenson as soon as he came back. Where Loveland, he picked it up at the end of the season and stayed hot. And now you've got Ben Johnson saying things like, well, I'd be buying Luther Burden stock. So.
Yeah, that's all just coach stock.
Well,
I took that Burton thing as he's going to be the top guy in the wide receiver room, not necessarily the top guy on the offense.
Well, there's that
more about Odunze than anything else.
Well, and I think it's that's one way to look at it. And the other way that if you listen to the whole quote, he's also talking about the improvements that Burden has made to his route tree and all of that kind of stuff. So I took it more along the lines of I'm buying Burden stock because it's improving, not because I think he's going to be the best player on my offense. That's the way I took it.
But improving to the point that he's past Odunze.
Yeah, or that. So. And either way you look at it, I don't think what they did to end the season is something that they're going to look at and go, yeah, we got to do something different. Because even though they ended with a loss, this team outperformed expectations. And Loveland, to me, was a big part of that, averaging almost 11 targets a game.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'm on the Loveland side, actually.
If you you need a tight end. If Loveland does and improves on what he did last year, he could be a tight end that could win you a league. But I also think Henderson's one of those guys that could take the ball to the house at any point in time.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm going to roll the Vrabel dice and go with Henderson, man, and just hope that he smartens up and plays Henderson more so than Ramonde.
I see it. And that's the other part is Stevenson is locked up the next 2 seasons. So he's going to be there this season and I believe all of next season before they actually have an out.
Yeah, so just crazy. That's what I mean.
Yeah,
How stupid is Vrabel going to be?
Well, and that's the other part of this too is Vrabel still the Patriots head coach? I think the fact he hasn't been fired to this point means he's going to be the coach. But there is still that hanging over their head. I wonder how much it affects the team.
With how Kraft has been the last few years, it's not going to surprise me if he just keeps Vrabel around for this season, see what happens. And then if Tomlin's coming back into coaching like he says he's going to, they go out and get Tomlin.
That would be all kinds of crazy for a lot of reasons. But, man, you would have to love that as a Patriots fan.
Oh, for sure. But that's what we got for Brighter Light. Let us know if there's anybody you'd like us to review and hit that like and subscribe button.
Fantasy Light.
All right, we are into Fantasy Light, and today we will be doing the NFC East. So who do you want to start with here? The Cowboys, Eagles, Giants, or Commanders?
Well, Eagles were in the news for their trade. Might as well start there, right?
All right. Well, we got Alex's fantasy thoughts on the Eagles up here. So for his must, he has Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, and Devontae Smith. He is warm on Malachi Lemon, cold on Dallas Goedert, and he has no sleepers.
Yeah, this is just I don't know what to expect from this offense. There's lots of weird vibes coming out around Jalen Hurts too. I think part of the A.J. Brown trade was the stories coming out that their friendship has fallen apart. Again, it's all rumors. Who knows what's true? We're not there. For me, though, I still trust Jalen Hurts as a quarterback. You know he's going to give you the rushing. He averaged 15 rushing touchdowns his first, 4 years in the league or something crazy. Last year was a little bit down, but we know the tush push isn't going anywhere. I think Barkley was not as good last year as he could be. I think he bounces back a little bit. And Devontae Smith, I still think can be an alpha. Anytime A.J. Brown or Dallas Goedert had missed time, he's performed on the field. So give me those 3 guys easy. I think this offense still bounces back because last year was not pretty, and I don't think that is what this talent produces again for 2 years in a row.
Yep, totally agree. We'll get to my thoughts here. So I only got one must, and that's Saquon Barkley. If I need a guy I need to walk away from this team with the fantasy draft, it's only Barkley.
Right.
I'm warm on Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts. They're both going to do fine, whatever. But I don't have to walk away from the draft from them. And that's kind of how I look at my warm. Guys I'd be okay owning, but I don't have to own. I'm cold, obviously, on Malachi Lemon. As you know, I hate my USC receivers. I'm surprised Drake London even got paid. And my sleeper is Devontae. I can't say his Wicks.
Dontavian Wicks.
Yeah, that they just got from Green Bay. Now, in doing this list, I did have A.J. Brown in my must, but he got traded, so I had to take him off. He's not on my Patriots one, but I would put him on my Patriots must.
See, and I think part of ours, and one of the reasons they've been so different, is you look at must-haves as like your first-round picks, essentially, right? Where I'm looking at it more.
Not necessarily first-round picks, but guys I gotta have.
Okay.
Like I'd have Trayvon Henderson on my must-haves, but he's
right,
not
an
early-round pick either.
That makes sense. So the way I do mine is more, I think these guys can finish top 12 at their position, except for tight end, because tight end, like top 12 is not necessarily a difference maker. So when it comes to tight ends, I want a top 5 tight end. And that's kind of the way that I've been looking at my must-haves. So it would make sense we have a little bit of difference in opinion here. Lastly, just on my Dallas Goedert, because I didn't mention why I have him cold, I think there's touchdown regression coming. And even though A.J. Brown's not on the roster, they added Stowers and Lemon, and I think both of those guys probably need more targets than Dallas Goedert, who is more of a red zone threat than anything.
Yep, for sure. I'll agree. We can move on to the Dallas Cowboys now. So for you, your must-haves are CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, Dax Prescott. You're warm on Williams, the running back, cold on Jake Ferguson, and again, no sleepers.
Yep. And again, the tight end position, I know that Dak likes the tight end position, but Ferguson has not been a difference maker. And if I'm at the tight end position, I want a difference maker, or I'm streaming, which is something you just brought up. So
all right. So for me, CeeDee Lamb's my must. Again, just like the Eagles, right? I got Dax, Pickens, Williams in the warm.
Yeah.
Wouldn't mind like owning them if things are right, but I'm not going out seeking them.
Right.
Cold on Ferguson as well, and Turpin, who people were looking at drafted last year, so I got him on my cold. I think he's going to take another step back as well, just be more kick return guy. And I got a sleeper in Jaden Blue. On last year, I think he'll get a little bit more use this year.
I like that call with Jaden Blue. I thought about making him a sleeper. I was just hesitant because he really didn't get on the field much at all last season.
Well, he did it towards the end of the year. He was getting a little bit more work, not a ton, but enough where you can be like, okay, this guy can play in this league.
Right, and that's where I want to see a little more. So I like the call, and I thought about it myself. So we are on the same page in that regard. It's just I'm not as confident as you are, I guess.
Fair enough. All right, we'll move on to the Giants. We got Alex's fantasy thoughts on the Giants here. His must are Malik Nabers, Cam Scatterboot, Jackson Dart. He's warm on Tyrone Tracy, cold on Likely, and his sleepers are Malachi Fields and Theo Johnson.
Yep, and another one just cold. I just don't buy the hype on Isaiah Likely. Like, yes, he's coming to a coach that he knows, but that coach had him for his entire career so far and has not used him. So I'm not sure why it would be different moving to another team. Like, yeah, there's no Mark Andrews, but there is Theo Johnson, who put together a decent season last year with Jackson Dart.
There's also that Nebraska kid they drafted last year.
Right. I can't remember. He's the blocking guy, right?
Well, he's a pass catcher too, but he's the best blocker on the ball.
Yeah. So,
all right,
it'll just be interesting.
Give my fantasy thoughts here. So at my must, I've got Malik Nabers because I want him for the second half.
Right.
Cam Scatterboot because I want him for the second half. So they're on the list, but like, don't be confident with them the first 6 games. Then
Aren't there stories coming out too saying that Scatterboot's expecting to already participate in OTAs?
Yeah, well, like I told you,
just crazy, man.
When he got injured, I'm like, I'm not worried about him. He's a rockhead. He'll probably come back early because he just doesn't feel pain. When you slap on a helmet and go try to tackle telephone poles when you're a kid, like you're made to play football. So we'll see. But right now, I'm putting the second half on there because of the injuries, and we'll see how training camp goes. And I might take that off. I'm warm on Isaiah Likely, only warm because of all the things that you said. Harbaugh's had him. Yeah, he had Andrews, but he still never used Likely like he could have. And the chances that he tried to use Likely like he could have, Likely didn't take advantage of those opportunities.
Right, and that's where I'm on the cold side.
Yep. So. No, I get it, but I still like Isaiah Likely as the talent. And you look at that tight end room, it's like, okay, I'm not going to have him on cold. I'm not going to have him not on this list because I do kind of like him. And there's nothing else I like around his time. I'm taking Likely on the board because I do think he's in a good situation that he could take advantage of. But again, he never took advantage of those opportunities with the Ravens. So we've got to see something there. Yep. I'm cold on Mooney and Slayton, 2 wide receivers that they got there. Slayton's been there for a while. They bring in Mooney. I don't know why. It's like the Spider-Man meme pointing at each other. And then my sleeper is Malachi Fields because I think this guy is going to blow up. He's perfect for this team.
I agree. He fits his team perfectly. And I also, on that note, just messed up in a rookie draft, and I took Elijah Surratt over him because, like we said, sleeper ADP is jacked up. And unfortunately, that's the only way I can really do it when I got 10 minutes on the clock to make a pick. Whoops. But I do agree with you. I like Malachi Fields as a sleeper, because he fits this offense so well. And we know Dart is also looking downfield, and that's where Fields is going to win.
Yeah, and what I like about Dart is he doesn't lock eyes on anybody. He's constantly looking around.
Yeah, it's crazy. If you look at even just his like statistics and his advanced stats for like yards per attempt and broken plays and like avoiding sacks, he was avoiding like 2 or 3 sacks on a play and then hitting like a 50-yard pass. So I love Dart. Good call.
So do I. All right, we'll move on to the Commanders. So we got Alex's thoughts here. His must are Jalen Daniels and Scary Terry. He's warm on Chig, JCM, and Rashad White. Cold on Zach Ertz. His sleepers are Antonio Williams and Katron Allen.
Yeah, so again, the rookies, Antonio Williams, a lot of reasons why we like Malachi Fields. I think he's just going to step into that role. Yeah, he's got to learn the offense first, but that receiver room is wide open after Terry McLaurin. So he's another one of those rookies I think can have an impact in year one.
Well, totally agree. So we'll get to my thoughts here. My monster, Jade Daniels. I think he's going to come back like crazy this year, as long as he doesn't get the injury plague bug going again. I'm warm on Scary Terry. And he's not a guy I need to walk away from these drafts for just because of his age. He is going to be good, though. So if I could get him for decent value, I'm going to pick him up. And then I got Luke McCaffrey, sort of the other kind of aspect of him further down the road. Depending on who's there, he's going to be a guy I'm going to pick up because he was looking like he's starting to show it, and he's McCaffrey. So they constantly are learning like the man is, right? They're constantly developing each year in the offseason. So I think he's going to take another step. I'm cold on JCM and Rashid White, and I've got the same two sleepers as you. Because I don't like White and JCM, I've got Katron Allen on my sleepers because I'm like, well, it's got to be this guy that comes out of this room.
Right, and that's kind of where I'm at too. That running back room is just so crowded right now. Who's going to emerge? And it seemed like they liked JCM last year, but when they gave him the opportunities, he didn't always pan out with them. So it could be wide open. And really, this is a Jaden Daniels team. And that's why I think McLaurin could have such a good season, because you got to have somebody catching the ball from Daniels.
Oh, for sure you do. Be an interesting year, but that's what we got for Fantasy Light. Stay tuned for next week when we move on to the next division. All right, we are into Fantasy IDP, which is a new segment that we're now doing on the video. This is where me and Alex, today we're going to talk about our top 10 fantasy rookies for IDP. So let's get into this, find the pictures. So we'll start with Alex's list. So Alex's top 10 rookie IDPs. He's got David Bailey, defensive end from the Jets. Arvell Reese, defensive end from the Giants. Sonny Styles, linebacker for the Commanders. Caleb Johnson from the Cowboys. Reuben Bain Jr. What?
Caleb Downs.
Oh, frick. Reuben Bain Jr., defensive end from the Bucks. C.J. Allen, linebacker for the Colts. Joshua Trotter, linebacker from the Bucks. Jacob Rodriguez, linebacker from the Dolphins. Malachi Lawrence, defensive edge from the Cowboys. And Dylan Thiemann, safety for the Bears.
Yep. So is there anywhere that you see something as like, hey, no, that's way wrong?
Well, I didn't know if you put these in orders from your 1 to 10. I know I put them in order for you here and how you listed them. So I didn't know if that was your actual ranks or not, but I would have Sonny Styles higher than the two defensive edge guys.
Okay. So, and that was one I was thinking. And I actually took Sonny Styles in a draft over those other two. But I was just thinking this is where your scoring, I think, makes a difference, right? Like,
oh yeah,
do you get more points for sacks and stuff? Like, are sacks big plays that give you bonuses? Well, then that's where the edges come in.
Yeah, we'll get to my list here, and then we can talk about everything. So,
okay,
my fantasy rookie IDPs. I got number 1. I got Sonny Styles, linebacker. I don't think he's going to be touched, man. Like, he's the guy you can just drop in. And he's going to be constantly around the ball, and he does everything. So he's going to put up major fantasy points on a consistent basis. I'd say at least 20 fantasy points in a standard IDP type of league. Second, I've got David Bailey, defensive edge. Second, I got Caleb Downs, safety from the Cowboys.
Okay.
Again, just always around the ball. So I think he's going to have more points than these defensive edge guys. Then I come in with David Bailey from the Jets. He's going to be on the field all the time. So he's got to put up some friggin' sack numbers, right? And it's harder to get defensive edge guys. Then I come in with C.J. Allen, linebacker, followed by Jacob Rodriguez, the linebacker. Dylan Thiemann, the safety from the Bears. Then I got Reuben Bain Jr., because he's going to be a rotational piece in, but he'll get his. Then I got Emmanuel McNeil Warren, safety from the Browns. He's going to be out there a lot at the safety position, racking up numbers. 9, I got Arvell Reese, the edge from the Giants taken. They've got so much there that he's more of a rotational piece than Bain, so that's why I got him lower, even though he was taken later. And then I end up with Anthony Hill Jr., the linebacker.
Yep, that makes sense. And he's one that realistically I probably should have on my list instead of Malachi Lawrence. It's just I was looking at more sacks matter more than tackles. I think
They're
in most
harder to
leagues.
get, but it also
Yeah.
takes like a defensive edge guy is like a tight end, right?
Mhm.
It takes a good 3 to 5
Right, that-
years for them to develop into a seasonal or you can trust starting weekly basis.
And that makes sense. So I probably should move my linebackers up and my edges down.
Yeah,
But we
that's
both
what I
do
would
have.
say.
Yeah, we both
Like
have
you need a
Keeneman
really
and
good edge
Jones.
to have them up there, but you also got to take
Mhm.
edges earlier in drafts than linebackers because they're harder to get.
Right.
One of those tricky situations. Like even though these are my rankings, it might not be the order I draft them in.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something that's important to remember. Team context matters just as much as anything in these rankings.
Yep.
Like
for
what
sure.
is going on with your team? Are you competing or are you not? Because I also think that's the most important question you can ask when you start your season and how you're going to manage your roster.
And if you can get a linebacker or a free safety on a bad team, they're going to be playing a lot of defense, so they're going to be putting a lot of points.
Yeah. Well, and that's where I think I missed one now as we're talking about it with Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, because one of the things I also loved about him coming out is that he's a ball hawk and turnover machine. And that's huge in fantasy IDP also. So he probably should be on my list there.
Yeah, that's why I got him on mine.
Yep.
But that's our fantasy IDP. Next week, we're going to do top 10, just IDPs, rookies, vets, everything in there. So stay tuned for
Past events. Sporting events we'd love to go back and see live.
All right, we're into past events. Rox and I like to talk about anything in the sports world that was just an amazing thing that we would like to be attended to. So now we have plays, games with names on this one that are very similar to each other. So for me, I am going with the Music City Miracle 2000 playoffs.
That's a good one.
AFC Championship, Bills versus the Tennessee Titans, which was the one where they did that cross
Frank
pass.
Wycheck.
Yep. Which was
throwing
right
a pass
down
across
line.
the field.
Everybody was like, what did it count or whatever? But then he ran down, got the touchdown, sent the Titans to the Super Bowl, which they came 1 yard shy of winning the Super Bowl because he got tackled on that 1 yard line by the Rams. But
Kevin Dyson.
this was a great friggin' game. Great play. Came out of nowhere. I remember watching it going, what the? Oh, my God. Like, it just, this Titans whole playoff run was just an amazing thing to watch. Like, miracle after
miracle. It really was, too.
Miracle.
And that pass, too, was one that watching with the naked eye, you're like, that might have went forward. It might have went backwards. Like, that was one that they replayed for probably 20 minutes. Easy.
Man, I think
it was just the longest replay. What's that?
I think they still constantly replay that.
Oh, I don't doubt it. And I think what ended up deciding it was how he caught it. When Wycheck threw it, the guy caught it. I think his feet were 1 yard back or something like that. But it was almost like as straight lateral as you could be.
Oh yeah.
But man, that was a fun one because once he caught that, he was just gone.
Like I think that's one of the plays where they're like, we need to get microchips into these balls.
Right.
I don't know what that would really be, but yeah, that was one of the greatest football plays I'd ever witnessed. Just smart, right time. Didn't they even have one just before this where it was like a kick return or something, and then they kept lateraling it back and got a touchdown? The game before this?
Yeah, it was something like that. Or might have been a punt return, some kind of return. It was just, let's go do some schoolyard bullshit, and it worked that time too.
Yeah, it's just one of those runs, right? Like the Baltimore run.
Yeah.
Like teams get hot.
With Flacco.
Like, it's just things come together. It's an amazing thing to watch. All right, we'll move on to yours. So you got the Miracle at the Meadowlands.
Yep. So this one, Dallas Cowboys and New York Jets, I believe it's 17-13, go to do a handoff, botches the hand up. No, it's the Eagles, and return back for a touchdown, and they win that game over the Jets. And it's called Miracle at the Meadowlands. Just this play is one we talk about the impact it has on the game. This play is what led to the point that you could actually kneel down and not have to run a play so that you can manage the clock a little better, because it was a botched handoff that led to them losing the game that they had no business losing.
Yeah. And it was Dick Vermeil and that Invincible movie. For those who've seen this was like the year after that.
Yep.
Just to give you a time reference on when this was with the Eagles. But yeah,
Just
it
crazy.
changed the game a lot because, like you said, right? They changed the rules for the NFL. You can kneel down. They changed the strategy on how they're going to do stuff, like everything.
Yep. And I'm curious, do you think it's better for the game?
I would say so.
Yeah, I think as like a proponent, like talking about the game itself, it's better. As a fan, I'm here for the chaos. Like if you can't hand the ball off, maybe you deserve to lose.
Well,
then I
when
also
you watch
go,
that play too, it looks very similar to the butt fumble. Like very similar. Not that they're the same, but like the guy falls down trying to get the hand off. Like it's very similar, and then fumbles the ball.
Yep.
But that's where we'd go if we could travel back and past.
Sit down and talk about all the world stuff that goes on around the world under your nose. Never know where we'll end up. Come with us and we'll chase that rabbit down there, all over there today.
All right, welcome to Shine the Light. Today we're going to be talking about Ong's Hat in New Jersey. This is a ghost town in Pemberton Township in Burlington County in New Jersey.
the Pine Barrens.
Yep.
As some people might know it.
There was nothing really more than one hut, or Ong's hut, so to say, which still appears on some maps today. It was an overnight shelter built by a farmer for passerbys. Basically, Ong was a guy who liked to be a player, woo the ladies at the local folk dance, and one guy got mad, took his hat, threw it in a tree, and apparently that hat stayed in that tree for years, and people used it as a landmark to say where Ong's hut was, therefore giving it the name.
Yep, it was a weird one. So like this town, if you could even call it that, it was more like a stop on a route where there was a whole bunch of bootleggers, and it was like a stop on the way to the ports. So they were known for their dances and stuff like that. And he was a guy that was, as you said, famous with the ladies. And a guy got mad at him, hitting on the wrong girl, tossed his hat up in the tree, and it became Ong's hat. The crazy part, as you get more into this story, we should probably bring up Joseph Matheny here, because he wrote some papers called the Incunabula Papers. And the idea behind it was actually a live action book, is one way to explain it. So he provides the details and you go fill them in reality, where you can go see Ong's hat. One of the things with it is there was the Institution of Chaos Studies, where two, what would they be, theoretical physicists were studying consciousness, and they created an egg. Did you find this stuff?
I did.
Okay, I'll let you get into it a little more too. Sorry, I'm not trying to step on you.
No, it just it's a weird, hard thing to even try to explain, right? Because
yes,
but the fourth test of that egg thing is basically kind of what I focused on, because it was just too hard to grasp what the hell they were talking about. And on this fourth test, they saw a patient, the device, all disappear and then reappear.
Yes. So the egg, from the descriptions I got, there wasn't a whole lot. What I was able to gather was that it was like a sensory deprivation take, essentially. But they somehow found a way to manage to get it to connect to alternate universes, where they think it went to a parallel world and came back, and that was the disappearing and come back.
Yep.
So crazy stories here. But the other part with it is that there is so much supporting evidence and documentation, like books and news reports. And the reason that this story started was it started with mail art, like quite literally flyers in the mail with art and information on it. And it developed and grew to the point now where if you go to this location in New Jersey, there is a bar there, and they do say this is where everything happened. So they go right along with the story. But
well, it's
a crazy
story
one
too. There was also like Fort Dix had a nuclear type of leak, and then they told the people at this facility about it, and they all used this device to transfer out of there. to another dimension.
To the parallel world.
Yep, just craziness.
Yep.
It's like I gotta go here because it's like maybe a 4-hour drive for me. Maybe I definitely got to stop by next time I'm in New York City because I'd like to check this sort of thing out. But gotta remember, people.
Oh, for sure.
Question everything.
Have a good one.